G'day. How you doing? It is OJ in the morning. Local people, local stories, local connections. South Canterbury's weekend magazine show. You'll find me on Spotify and Apple with the podcast, however you might be listening right now, and also some extra content or selected content on YouTube. Oh, and I noticed too during the week, there is another podcast called OJ in the Morning. It's a couple of American guys talking sport. Nothing like what I'm doing on this show, although I am talking sport at some stage. But anyhow, numbers-wise, around about 50 subscriptions on my YouTube channel. A whole lot less at the moment on Spotify and Apple, but it's all about momentum, right? So if I keep on turning up, good content, good interviews, then I'm sure that people will follow it. Tell your friends. Would really appreciate it. It's all about being connected. That is what the show is all about. Now, quick story too about connection from someone who tuned in during the week, in fact last weekend. Made a comment on one of my videos on Facebook, formerly of South Canterbury, but right now in Melbourne with some health challenges going on too. She mentioned that she really enjoyed tuning in to Kirsty and I during the weekend Smile File, and that she really enjoyed it. Took her back a few years when Kirsty and I were on Port FM on the Breakfast Show. That was a few years ago. So it's not so much, like I say, about how many people tune in. It's more about just connecting. And if I connect with one person, I'm stoked. Also, some feedback since the first podcast last week. Some technical stuff, including a bit of sound, lighting, presentation, all that sort of stuff. Pretty much everything, really, but that's okay. The only way, right, is to get better. And if people point out the work-ons, I'm more than happy with that. Generally, though, positive comments, and absolutely appreciate that too. Speaking of the feedback, if you do want to make some suggestions, perhaps maybe on some people that I could feature, anything really. Maybe if you've got a community event coming up, perhaps you've got a community group you might like to profile on one of my channels, please reach out, get in touch. How do you do that? Really easy. You can go through Messenger on my Facebook page, or you could Gmail me at ojinthemourningshow@gmail.com. Yes, before you ask, I was gutted at not being able to secure the OJ in the Morning address. That belongs to those couple of American guys that I was telling you about earlier. Right, what's coming up on the show? We're going to feature on the chat this week. Our guest is Roselyn Fauth. She loves the history and art and so much more. How does she deal with social media trolls? She'll let us know. John Gregan talks rural life in South Canterbury with Man on the Land. Just how big is the wallaby problem lately? And Waimate Mayor Craig Rowley will join me at the council table, supplied by Pateman's Lighthouse. Thank you, Craig, Julie and the team there, to give his thoughts on amalgamation, amongst other things. We'll also be joined by regular guest John McBeth with some sport on the weekend whistle. And Kirsty Burnett has a rundown too on what's happening around South Canterbury this weekend, long weekend that it is, King's birthday weekend, on the Smile File there. And also, I have a $200 meat voucher to give away from the lovely folk at Cloudy Peaks Butchery. They have got fantastic meat, and your chance to win a $200 voucher from them. I will tell you more about how you can do that later on in the show. But right now, it's time for the week that was. Here we go. Some of the news highlights from around the globe and locally too over the past week. On Saturday night, that's last Saturday night, almost 2 years to the day since he was unveiled as one of the A-League Men Expansion Club's first four signings. Cam Howison scored the goal that delivered Auckland FC a 1-0 grand final win over Sydney FC and their first championship. By the way, it was his first goal in 44 appearances for the club. What a time to score it. Huge for New Zealand football. For the first time, motorists who failed to fit snow chains in icy or snowy conditions in the Queenstown Lakes District face a $750 fine. The penalty will be enforceable. Speaking of roads, ours are going to be a bit icy this weekend, so please drive with care this long weekend. Budget came out on Thursday. I see in some of the comments, cost of living not just hurting low-income families, it's hammering middle New Zealand too. In fact, there was a story there about a family on $140,000 just scraping by. Just scraping by at 140K. What has the country come to? Just days after Napier City Council made the final of the competition to find New Zealand's best tap water, a Green Meadows resident in Napier turned on his tap to find murky brown water flowing from it. Not a great advert. You might recall, of course, last year, Seadown Supply, the shallow wells next to the Opahi, were classed as being the best drinking water in the country. Not quite sure how we got on this year. Dame Jules Top, one half of New Zealand's celebrated double act, the Top Twins, died peacefully at her home. She passed away last Saturday with her twin sister Linda, brother Bruce, close friends, and her pets by her side following a 22-year journey with breast cancer. Interviewed her a number of times on the radio over the years. Jules, lovely lady, and certainly very supportive of breast cancer awareness, which there's been a few breakfasts and that going on, and I think Kirsty's got some pretty good news on the pink ribbon breakfast too coming up on the Weekend Smile File. Former Labour Cabinet Minister Stuart Nash is returning to politics as a candidate for New Zealand First in the Napier electorate. You might recall he was sacked as a minister back in 2023, made some comments on the platform on the internet about women. Let's not go there with those comments, but they were very derogatory. Why he made them, God knows what he was thinking. Anyway, he takes them all back and says he's very, very sorry. Of course he is. And after saying, if I'm not in Labour, then I'm not in politics, guess what? Yeah, he's back into it. We'll see how he gets on at the upcoming election. And finally, in the Middle East, US says that the peace plan is imminent and then starts bombing Iran. What is up with that? Iran says it ain't so. Donald Trump is still threatening to blow people up. That is the week that was. On OJ in the morning, very important part of the podcast. Checking out the weather for the weekend coming up. Long weekend that is too. So today, cloud clearing. It should be fine in the afternoon. High of 13, but down to a chilly overnight low of 2 degrees. Could be a bit frosty to start the weekend. On Saturday, fine. Light winds. High of 12. And an overnight low of around about 3 degrees. Should be pretty good though for a bit of weekend sport on Saturday. On Sunday, partly cloudy, chance of a shower in the afternoon, 17 is the high, and 17, an overnight low of 8 degrees. And I believe the King's birthday steamer is on at the Pleasant Point Railway too. Always great fun there for the family, and should be reasonably good weather for it, until maybe a chance of a shower in the afternoon. And then on Monday, King's birthday Monday, mainly fine. Chance of a shower from the evening, northerlies though. And once again, pretty good high for this time of year. 18 degrees with an overnight low of 8. That is your weekend weather wrap. This is OJ in the morning. Local people, local stories, local connections. South Canterbury's weekend magazine show. However you are listening, thank you so much. Podcasts, of course, on Spotify and Apple. Selected content too on YouTube. Coming up very shortly, we'll be chatting with John McBeth. Yes, from the sidelines with the weekend whistle. But the South Canterbury Vintage Car Club's All British Day is on Sunday. Meeting at the top end of Caroline Bay, the car park there via Virtue Ave. Meeting between 9 and 9:30, aiming to leave for their rally at around about 10:30 a.m. Looks like the weather's going to be pretty good for that too on Sunday. Entry form to be completed on the day, $20 entry fee. There is a raffle available as well. There'll also be a barbecue lunch and tea and coffee available to buy as a fundraiser at the end of the car rally. Looking forward, they say, to a good turnout. If you do have a community event coming up and you would like it to feature on the show, by all means, please send me the details. ojinthemorningshow@gmail.com. Welcome in. It is the weekend whistle on OJ in the morning with John McBeth. We are talking sports. Mr. McBeth, good morning.
I didn't want to talk sport this weekend, but okay, I will. Yeah.
You can't help yourself,
We're
can
getting
you?
we're getting into the pointy end of lots of competitions, aren't we? And, last weekend was, some sensational sport played last weekend, some great results for New Zealand and for teams that both you and I follow in rugby. So, it was a great weekend. I think more coming up this weekend, OJ.
Yeah, there really is. Let's go back a week, though, to Auckland FC. Now, I don't watch a lot of football, but I watched this game. It was magic and just such a great result for New Zealand football.
Stunning result. It wasn't the flashest of games or the experts to be out there or pundits who know so much about football would be saying, no, it wasn't a great game to watch. I felt it was a gripping game. The standard might have been a bit off, but that came from pressure. It became very rugged, didn't it, towards the end? It became one of the more physical games of football you'd ever see. But the great thing was that Auckland were able to just stay with it. And when they scored that superb, goal, which came off a defender and all that sort of thing, but it was in the back of the net and it counted. From then on, you just wondered about their attitude. Did they want to score again, or did they just want to prevent the opposition? And I all through the final gripping few minutes, I was thinking, oh, for goodness sake, don't go into your shell too much. And it was gripping because Sydney had so many shots on goal or chances towards the end. It was gripping. I loved it as a final. Yeah, really good stuff. And congratulations, second year in the competition. And even though they're an Auckland team, I still supported them.
Cameron Howison, what a lovely story that was. And he scored the goal.
Yeah.
So,
And he doesn't score many. And he's one of those who's got a, lovely sort of private, family story with, his children, and one in particular who requires a lot of care. The fact that, he could have sought opportunities overseas, but has stayed loyal, born or grew up in Auckland, but, doesn't play out of there or didn't until recently. And sort of, I think unsung hero is probably quite a good term for him. And, I don't know whether they were tears of joy or just relief or what on him and other players as well, but it was a, remarkable finish and, a fairy tale finish, I think, for him and that Auckland FC team.
We know that sport can sometimes be a cruel mistress, right? ACL injuries, and we see so many of these, not just in rugby, but in rugby league, in netball. ACL injuries, what are they?
Well, you're right. They have become really common, and if you're watching it either live or on TV, and you see a player land awkwardly or be hit in a tackle, from the front or the back, seeing the knee hyperextended or going sideways. You see a fast sidestep and suddenly a player goes down. The ACL is one of the couple of major ligaments around the knee. It's the anterior, which means it's sort of at the front, just tucked in behind the knee, but it keeps the knee stable. So you can have a partial tear, which sort of can recover, but for a complete tear for an athlete, it generally, in fact, 99 times out of 100 requires surgery. And then there's a posterior, obviously anterior and posterior cruciate ligament, which is located at the back of the knee. And when I see these ACL injuries, you're right, we see much more of them. And there was one famous one, OJ, back in 1989 at Athletic Park, All Blacks against Argentina, the most dynamic, fastest, best ever number 7 that had ever been seen in world rugby, Michael Jones, was famously carried off after injuring every ligament in his knee. His was a really humongous injury. And I recall being there and watching and then finding out afterwards that it was so bad they wondered whether he would ever play sport again. But he did recover, but it affected him, his speed and that sort of thing. But that was a famous ACL plus injury to the knee, but we're just seeing them all the time. And, they do mean slow down on a person's career for sometimes many months or a season.
All right, let's have a look at your crystal ball, your sporting crystal ball, John, because last week on the Weekend Whistle, I gave you 5 events that I wanted you to give a prediction for. You got all 5 right with the Crusaders, the Hurricanes, the Tactics, the Warriors, and Auckland FC all winning.
Yeah, I didn't think the Crusaders were going to. They were up against it, weren't they? But anyway, no, I'm pleased. I'm pleased to fluke it at least once, OJ. That's good.
Let's see if you can back it up then, my friend. Number 1, the Crusaders do play the Hurricanes in the new stadium.
Oh, I'd love to be there. I know it's going to be packed. There's lots of people from here going down for that game. And the Crusaders, of course, is more at stake for them. If they win that, they get a home next round, don't they? A home qualifying final. They'll miss Jordan, of course, but I get the feeling that maybe the Crusaders will topple the Hurricanes this weekend. So much as it hurts me, I'm going to say that, the Crusaders could take this one.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. In fact, in order for the Crusaders to get a home semi, the Chiefs need to beat the Blues, and I'm sure Crusaders fans will be cheering on the Chiefs just this one time.
Most of the country will be, cheering on the Chiefs. Yeah, well, they'll take it to heart from last weekend. So, it's what you learn, what you keep it there, and it's that battle, they just love it, the Chiefs. I'll go for Chiefs, home advantage.
All right, Tactics against the Pulse in the ANZ Netball Premiership in Wellington.
Well, the Tactics last week served me well, didn't they? And the Pulse have drifted, and they haven't been the force of previous seasons, so I think it'll be a Tactics win there.
All right, and will a Kiwi be in the top 5 of the Chevrolet Detroit GP in the IndyCar Series this weekend? You've got 3 to choose from, so you should be fine.
I'll say yes.
Why wouldn't you? All right, and finally, the Warriors play the Panthers, top of the table clash on Sunday evening.
Now, is this after us? Is there a State of Origin game on? No. What's happening this weekend? No. I don't know. But anyway, the Panthers will be favoured because they're playing such good footy at the moment. But I think it's one of those clashes that the place will be sold out. The Warriors fans will make a big noise. I did the check, and I think the Panthers are slight favourites on whatever betting platform you're going to, and you would expect them to win, but bugger it, let's go for the Warriors.
We are due one, John. Absolutely due one.
Absolutely, you're quite right.
Mate, you enjoy your weekend sport this weekend.
Okay, mate. Thank you, OJ.
There we go, John McBeth. The Weekend Whistle. Will he make it 10 from 10? We'll find out on the show next week. In the meantime, that is the Weekend Whistle on OJ in the Morning. Bit of a community catch-up for you here too. And a fantastic group of South Canterbury youth are gearing up for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Yes, they're heading to Switzerland in July to represent New Zealand in the Under-18 Fistball World Championships. Huge achievement, and it marks their debut on the international stage. The team, as you can imagine, absolutely buzzing with excitement. Now, the entire trip is self-funded, and the squad is working pretty hard to raise funds to cover all their expenses. They've set up a Give a Little page, and they're busy organising a whole lot of fundraising events, so stay tuned for those. Now, next week on the show, we'll be catching up with the captain of the Under-18 Fistball World Championship team, Ruben. Had a bit of a chat to him, and he'll give us all the good oil. G'day, how you doing? It is OJ in the Morning. Local people, local stories, and local connections. And this is The Chat. It's a chance to catch up with local people in South Canterbury and just get a bit more insight into them, their background, what motivates them, what gets them out of bed in the morning, all that sort of stuff. And joining us today from designing ammunition boxes or something, it is Roselyn Fauth. Roselyn, lovely to have you in the studio.
Thank you. It's nice to be down here with you.
Yeah, down here. I know. It's in the basement, right?
I love it.
So let's just talk about your interest, firstly, in history and art, because they are two of the biggest things perhaps that people know you for. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but history and art. So where does that come from for you?
I have to give full credit to my art history teacher when I went to Girls High, Juliet Crawford. Because once I realised that I could understand history visually and I could see art in context, it just opened it all up and made it so accessible for me. And I'm a really visual thinker, so tell me a story, I've got the whole thing in high definition in my brain. So that's sort of where my love, I guess, came from. Fabulous teachers at school. And then my parents, I guess, help shape who you are. And we've got family who are artists. So it's kind of just accidentally evolved over time.
So you've always been arty?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've been very strange since I was very young.
There's nothing strange about that.
I think it gave me a strong sense of who I was. I've always felt like that was a big part of my identity. Yeah.
Let's talk about Woohoo Timaru. It's been a big part of your life too. And the rocks, which were...
The rocks,
which were so... I mean, it was a phase, wasn't it? And it was quite big for a while. Is it still big?
I didn't even know what I was doing. It just kind of happened. I was actually catching up with my cousins from Wanganui, and Bridget said to me, you know, Rose, they're doing this thing where they're painting rocks and they're hiding them, and I think you'll like it. I was like, man, that's random. But So I thought, oh, well, I'll try it. Started a Facebook group. And I think by the time Chris came home for lunch, there was about 350 people in the group wanting to paint rocks. I thought, oh, this is pretty good. Let's have a picnic. And 7 people came. So, oh, well, it's a thing. Let's do it again. Guess how many came to the next picnic?
I have no idea.
700.
Oh, that's a lot.
And then by the end of the month, we had 5,000 people in our Facebook group.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yes, it went very quickly. What it taught me was people are looking for free fun. And painting a rock, it doesn't matter if it's not very good. You're just going to put it in a bush, on a path somewhere. And it was really important to a lot of people at that time. And then COVID came and no one wanted to touch anything. So it just suddenly died. But we did know that that was going to happen. Things always come in phases. So while we were doing the rocks, we were trying to grow Woohoo Timaru. So we'd have something to move the audience to, help them find even more free fun, but also to focus on making it meaningful.
Connections is a big thing for you. What does that mean to you?
Well, you've got to be well behaved in this town. That's what it means to me.
So true.
Everybody will know somebody. I think the connections in a small city like ours means if you want to support or contribute, you can do it with a team. And it's usually a matter of just asking, and somebody will say, I know someone, and then accidentally have built the largest playground in the Southern Hemisphere. You know, that's kind of how I think Timaru rolls. And as I've been learning about our history, I've now realised just how much we enjoy today has come from people in the past being so thoughtful in gifting galleries, museums, libraries, trees, monuments, parks. A lot of what we enjoy today has been from people knowing each other and figuring out how to work together.
You've really immersed yourself in that too, haven't you? I think about things like Friends of the Ergantai, Timaru Civic Trust, you mentioned the playground, of course, Woohoo Timaru, all those sorts of things. What does that give you?
Sometimes I think people think about box ticking, but I don't really think about it like that. I think it more about an outcome. And even when the playground opened, I kind of felt a bit sick. So I was like, gosh, I hope after all this, it worked.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about what it looked like to me or how proud I was. I was worried about it working, doing the job that we had promised it would do. So I guess that's how I feel now is, you know, you put all that effort in and you know it works. It's made an impact. And even with the likes of the Aoraki Women's Fund, last year they made me their winner, which was very surprising. I didn't see that
Woman of the
coming.
Year.
My kids now say that must mean I'm Mother of the Year, which I thought was quite cute.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, it's about a whole lot of women seeing problems. We've come so far for women's rights, but now I realise there's still a lot to do. And you can't do these things on your own. It's a team effort.
And you've really thrown yourself into it too, to be fair.
Well, you just find a need and then you see how you could be helpful. Like lots of people in our region, that's kind of, I think, what we do, isn't it?
Yep.
Even if you go to the hospital and you think, I didn't know they were this amazing. and then you accidentally end up supporting reporters from the Wall Street Journal writing about American doctors. I don't know how I got myself in that situation, but I got a free lunch.
Nice honour, though.
It was so wonderful to show people around our town.
Yep.
That was pretty cool. And sort of saying, hey, look at our heritage buildings. This is our story. We're a place of exchange. And I think it's nothing like showing someone else around your hometown that reinforces why you're so grateful to make it your own home.
Do you think that we're as proud of our district, South Canterbury in general, Timaru, of course, as we should be?
Well, I avoid certain pages that whinge.
There are a few of them out there, folks.
I suspect one of them I actually got kicked out of for being too positive. I think it's where you decide to read and spend your time and what you want to advocate for. I haven't got any time for moaners.
Yep.
I just want to know what the solutions are. And there's nothing better than everyone celebrating when we've got something right and when we're grateful. I think that's way more uplifting. I don't fill my headspace with the moans and groans of the world. I ain't got no time for it.
Fair enough too. Let's talk about the playground because, of course, as you're probably well aware, Rose and I were heavily involved in the playground with a fabulous group of volunteers who made it come together. But it was the engagement with the community that I take away, or that's my biggest takeaway from it, is that we galvanised people to actually want to do something. They believed in it and they got on board the train.
I think the real key is we did it from the start. We listened. Sometimes people will come up with what they want and they go back to the community for consultation, but really it's box ticking. And you don't really get that outcome when that's how you go about it. So I think, Chris in particular spent a huge amount of time at the start of the project meeting teachers and principals and students of all different ages, meeting a lot of people from different disability communities. It was a lot more than box ticking. And I think when people felt they were involved very early on, they knew that we were really serious about making sure we knew what they wanted. It wasn't about us and our ego. It was about for the community, by the community.
I must say, when we first got the project underway.
I know what you're going to say.
And Chris was like, we've got to do all this engagement. I was like, oh, come on, Chris, can we just get on with it? But looking back, now I can see why it was so valuable,
Yeah. And I really do think people don't think that that's a playground by 12 people. They feel like it's a playground they were part of.
Yeah.
And isn't that amazing that it's all of our playground? Yep. And we did promise that it was going to be a bit more than something for 6 and 7-year-olds to muck around on, and I think we've achieved that. Wall Street Journal, we're on the cover of that newspaper, Sea Plays mentioned.
Yeah. It's incredibly gratifying to go down there now and see people enjoying it, a couple of years after it's been opened. And I keep looking at it going, there's other things we could be doing. And then I'm thinking, how much time do I have?
Yes. There are 3 projects I still really, really want to finish. And I keep thinking I'm very close. And then I get another piece of information. I think, okay, not quite there yet. Yeah. And we've been talking about how could we continue to support council. We haven't quite been able to iron that through.
But we will.
Yeah. I mean, the ultimate is to try and create some sort of friends group. That means that we can support costs as well, so that the playground continues to be something that we can invest in and is affordable to ratepayers. Because I'm mindful there's just only so many rate dollars to go around.
And there is a lot of fundraising going on at the moment for things like theatres and, the Arangi Stadium, all that sort of stuff. So we are aware of that. Okay, let's just talk about the things that we do well as a community.
What do we do well?
What do we do best?
I didn't think about this one on the way over. What do we do best? I think that we have a strong sense of who we are. And we know that we are essentially a primary industry place with a port connection for exchange, and we're backed by farmers. I think sometimes communities get a little bit, it's so easy to go to the supermarket and grab your milk and not really realise all the effort it took. Same with the flour, the grain. I think that's what Timaru is, isn't it? We know who we are. That's what we get right. I think the key at the moment is we need to be louder
That's my next question, right? What can we do better?
Yeah, we need to be louder. And if you do see a moan on Facebook, you call them out, flip it. Well, it might be this, but it is actually this. That's kind of been my goal with Facebook, is to have a positive place where we do uplift and reinforce people.
Yep.
So I think if we can do more of that, I would love to see the narrative change on our council. I think that some of our community are not quite aware of what it takes to do those core infrastructure, and they forget about the percentage of our rates that are required for that, and they get hung up on the smaller costs. And essentially those are the things that bring the colour and make us an attractive place to
And
live.
the social interaction.
Yeah, we've got to support our events. We've got to do a really good job of our marketing. I think that's where we could go better, is, say thank you a bit more often, be a bit more grateful, instead of some of the slander that I've seen has been really rough. I think that might also encourage more people to put their hand up to be involved in local government as well.
You think maybe that some of that negativity on social media puts a lot of people off getting involved?
100%. I mean, I had to think about supporting council and maybe throwing my hat in the ring. But to be honest, I don't know if I really want to put myself out there in that way, particularly with young children, and expose them to local politics in the time that we're in now. Maybe when I'm a little bit older, I have a thicker skin. Maybe I could handle it. But I think it's quite amazing that people put their hand up to do that kind of work, like yourself. Yeah, I think we should be way more grateful.
What about balancing, because you've got your family, you've got so many different hats that you are wearing in the community. So how do you balance them all up? I'm
really good at doom scrolling on social media. Yep. And I really enjoy a good drink of gin. That kind of gets me through.
Gin-tastic.
If anyone wants to sponsor this segment with a bottle of gin, I'll be so grateful. I think it actually comes down to people, supporting people. None of this is possible without my husband, Chris. He's very patient. He says, "Where are you going tonight?" So I'm going to dinner with 7 sharp. Sorry, dinner's in the oven. My parents are amazing, and my sister, and my friends. They help me out looking after the kids. That's been the trickiest thing, is trying to balance being at home for the kids and then all these extra projects.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes being a volunteer feels selfish, because you do ask a lot of other people when you want to go and do something. Particularly now I've got 2 jobs. So doing my graphic and web design that I've always done for 20 years, but I'm now also the alumni and community coordinator at Girls High. So 2 part-time jobs and quite passionate about these other projects, and I don't quite want to pull
Park
out.
them. Yeah.
So you just got to find people and make it a team effort. I probably need to have some sort of bird on my shoulder that says, "Just say no, Rose," but I'm not that kind of person.
Dare I say it, do you have any other projects that are coming up that you're involved with?
I think mostly I'm focused on this Girls High role. I think there's enough going on. Timaru Civic Trust is celebrating their 40th year. Your listeners might not appreciate, but the landing service building was saved by the Civic Trust. They bought that building for $1, and then volunteers fundraised and restored that building to what it is now, and they are still the property owner. They also own the Customs House. So helping them to celebrate that milestone is a project at the moment. And we've just finished the facade of the Custom House. It's been freshly painted.
Looks great too, by the way.
Yes, It looks really good. And the Friends of the Eglantine just clocked 50 years as an organisation as well. So that's 50 years they've supported the council and that art gallery and all of the artists and the community and behind it. Some people might not know, but the group was established to fundraise for the modern extension of the gallery.
Right.
And the value that the group has brought to the arts has been quite incredible over those 50 years. There's some big milestones that have been the projects. The cemetery, I just wander around all the time. I don't know if you'll manage to keep me out there, but I've just really enjoyed learning about the people, and it's made me far more realistic and grounded. Yeah, I've realised that you don't actually have to be a tsunami to have an impact, and a lot of those people made really interesting ripples, but they weren't always the big hero, the first, most, or the best. And so we don't hear their stories, but actually the impact they made, that all trickles together and it all has that ripple through time. So those are my projects at the moment, trying to be a good mum.
Roselyn Fauth, really do appreciate you being on the chat and being our guest today. You're doing some amazing stuff in the community, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of many people watching, but thank you for what you do. And I know you don't want any thanks, but thank you all the same. And it's people like you that make our community the place that it is, and it makes us proud to live here, and that's really important.
Yeah, aren't we lucky that we get to call South Canterbury our home?
Yeah.
And thank you to everyone who has supported me and put up with my fun facts. And please follow us on Woohoo Timaru. I'll do a wee plug on Facebook. It's lovely. We've grown a community to nearly 5,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Good job.
If you join us. Thank you. Thanks
Keep
for
up the
having
great
me.
work. Thank you. Roselyn Fauth today on the chat. This is OJ in the morning. Local people, local stories, and local connections. And right now, it is time for the top 3 things that you might just need to know for the weekend coming up. Coming in at number 1, busy roads around the region over the course of this long King's birthday weekend. And of course, we don't have a 4-lane highway yet. Probably not going to see that in our lifetimes. Well, we might, stranger things have happened. But anyhow, I know a lot of people would like to see a 4-lane highway between Christchurch and Timaru. I think first Christchurch and Ashburton, but then, and there's the bridges to think about. The Rakaya Bridge, the Rangitata Bridge, etc. Anyway, I digress. Please take it easy on the roads this weekend because it could get a bit chilly over the sort of first part of the weekend anyway. And those roads, yes, they will be rather icy. Please don't become a statistic. That is number 1. Number 2, and it's a good time to grab a bargain this weekend if you're up for a bit of shopping, if the budget was kind to you. Anyway, if it was kind to you, then there are bargains to be had everywhere. But mostly, do stick to local if you can. Please don't go to other places and spend all your money there. We'd much prefer it if you spend, your money here locally. There are so many great businesses to support too when it comes to hospitality, food and bev, etc. But everything in general, please do support local this long King's birthday weekend. And finally, number 3, in the top 3 things that you might just need to know for today. Well, don't forget to turn off the alarm on Sunday night. Because if, like me, your alarm goes off, and that's normally when you get up on a Monday morning, it's a public holiday on Monday. So I'd just like to say thank you very much, Chuck, as in Charlie, the King. Really do appreciate that. Always nice to get a long weekend. That's coming up this weekend on Monday. They are the top 3 things that you might just need to know. And this is OJ in the morning. Local people, local stories, local connections. South Canterbury's weekend magazine show. Don't leave home without it. Anyhow, we've got Gumboots After Dark. It's a Centennial Gala coming up on the Community Catch-Up. That's happening next Saturday, and that's on the Landing Services building there, the Conference Centre upstairs. Chance to celebrate the Centennial milestone with an elegant gala evening featuring a live auction in support of the Aoraki Foundation Women's Fund. Guests will enjoy a 2-course seated dinner, live entertainment, and a wonderful night of connection and celebration. Enjoy a night out with husbands, perhaps partners, friends, at what is going to be a memorable occasion. You need to RSVP, though, by the 31st of this month, and inquiries, Aoraki scrwnz@gmail.com, or simply just look out for Gumboots After Dark, the Centennial Gala. And I'm sure it'll come up in your search engine somewhere. I'm actually the MC for that event. Looking forward to it too. Should be a fun night out. Right now on the show, OJ in the morning, South Canterbury's weekend magazine show. We check out a bit of local news from the week that has been. One person died after a two-car crash in Tekapo last Sunday afternoon. The crash took place on State Highway 8 between Tekapo and Lake Pukaki at around about 4:30 p.m. I think emergency services were called to that. And again, a reminder, please do be careful on our roads this weekend. Timaru's status as a popular beachside destination earned the title of the Riviera of the South back in the early 20th century, and latest economic data a century later shows that Timaru's popularity with tourists is once again on the up. Infometrics figures for the March quarter show tourism was a significant contributor to the district's economy, with visitors spending $469.3 million in the year to March, an increase of 11.6% on the same time last year. The closure of Central Timaru's New Zealand Post outlet has been confirmed, with the loss of 7 jobs as part of an operational downsizing in the town. The company confirmed the July 29th closure of the Strathallan Street branch on Friday, 3 days after the 7 affected staff were informed in a meeting. Sarah Sandoval, General Manager Consumer at New Zealand Post, told the Timaru Herald that following consultation with our people, we've made the difficult decision to close New Zealand Post Timaru, although they are actively looking for a new partner store in the Timaru Town Centre as part of a wider review of their retail network. A government department is set to consider 4-laning State Highway 1 from Christchurch to Timaru, including replacing the Rukaya Bridge. The NZTA study into the transport corridor between the Littleton and Timaru ports is expected to begin in the next 12 months towards the end of the 24-27 National Land Transport Program. According to the Minister for the South Island, James Meagher, the study will look at the replacement of bridges, the role of rail, and potential 4-laning of the corridor. In a first, for the Y Central South Island, a female has been bestowed with a life membership. Immediate past chairperson Stacey Scott received the honour at the organisation's annual general meeting last Thursday night. The honour recognised Scott's 10 years of voluntary service and transformative leadership with the organisation, said board chairperson Jonathan Powell. Life membership is the highest honour the organisation can grant, reserved exclusively for individuals who have demonstrated outstanding service, he said. It's a long way to the shop if you want a sausage roll. But a Timaru baker is going even further, crossing the Tasman to represent New Zealand in a competition celebrating the tasty delight. U-Bake owner Simon Bruce has been selected to compete in a sausage roll-making competition at the Baking Association of Australia Industry Trade Show in the Gold Coast in June. The trade show has different events every year, and this year one of them is a New Zealand against Australia sausage roll competition, he said. Well done. Council staff were questioned over the level of engagement on this year's draft annual plan. After informal consultation on the document garnered just 5 responses from the community. Councillor Stacey Scott posed the question as staff sought direction to prepare final documents for the 26-27 plan to be adopted at the Timaru District Council meeting next month. Scott said she could not help but feel bitterly disappointed by the community's response. South Canterbury Lines Company says it's been working to remove connections to buildings at the south end of Timaru's main street as part of a demolition program. Contractors have been working outside a row of buildings opposite the Theatre Royal since last week, with parts of the footpath and car parks cordoned off. An Alpine Energy spokesperson said it had been working to support third-party works in the area. The spokesperson said the work would continue in stages alongside the demolition program. And that is your local news review. This is OJ in the morning. Local people, local stories and local connections. And it is time for a brand new feature, and I do hope it's going to be a regular feature. He might have second thoughts on that after today, but we'll see how we go. It's our man on the land, John Gregan. John, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, OJ, and good luck with your new venture. I hope it goes well for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now, you may have heard John and I talking on the radio for a number of years about things going on in the rural community. Very, very important that we stay on top of what's going on rurally. It's the powerhouse of our economy, isn't it, mate?
Well, it's ticking over very well at the moment, and it's keeping our head above water, it would seem, yeah.
Yeah, so let's just talk about dairy farming in particular. You're a dairy farmer yourself. You've been involved with Fonterra, obviously, over the years as well, with the Araki Foundation as well.
Yeah, look, that's a new role, but I'm enjoying that. I'm a trustee on the foundation. It's about philanthropy and keeping philanthropy local. So, investing money and putting the return from those investments back into our community. So I think it's a great, really good foundation. And we've got a fantastic CEO at the moment, Richard Spuckman.
Yeah.
He's driving it and he's really, really good.
Yeah, great personality.
Yeah.
Let's talk about dairy farming, though, in general. The bottom of the Hunter Hills is where you are. So how's it all going for the rural economy on the back of that good news for dairy farmers?
Look, it's been a stellar season. It's a record. In fact, last year we had $10.15 payout, which is a record of all time for Fonterra. There was a payback to farmers. We sold our brands to a big French company called Lactalis. So we got a $2 rebate, or I guess dividend back on our shares. And that's hopefully been injected back into the community. I'm sure some went to debt repayment, but there'll be a few toys would have been bought and a few holidays and a few holiday houses bought. So I think it's great. I think it's good for rural New Zealand. We need it at the moment. Agriculture is sort of leading the way a bit. Everyone has their time in the sun, but certainly dairy farming's doing well. But sheep and beef have really done well as well. And that's all on the back of a big demand for protein, particularly in the States with these thinning drugs that people are taking. And protein's really important, or people are losing muscle mass as well as fat. So protein's, stay in the sun, and it's working really well for red meat and for whey protein and lots of other parts of our milk.
Dairy farming generally didn't do so well in the free trade agreement with India, though, did it?
No, India are the biggest milk producers in the world, interestingly enough, but we are the biggest exporters of milk in the world. So they're very protective about their locals, and we knew that. We knew that was never really going to feature in that free trade agreement, but it's great for particularly sheep meat and beef. It's another market, and so we'll make full advantage of that. And the milk might move in time, but at the moment they're looking after their own, and we get that. Dairy farmers have got plenty of really good customers at the moment, so we're not too worried.
Cool. Now, what about arable farmers? I did see an article on the news earlier on about arable farmers just struggling a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a tough few years. The problem with the arable industry is they've been undercut by often cheap imported feeds into the country, barley, wheat from Argentina and Australia. Palm kernel is cutting their lunch a little bit. Farmers are using that, dairy farmers, instead of local grown grain. And of course, their costs have gone up. The fuel crisis have really affected cropping farmers in particular. And no doubt tyres and the big gear that they need is going to get more and more expensive with this fuel crisis. So no, it's tough times for them, and we're seeing a lot of conversions, particularly handily to us in mid-Canterbury, of cropping farmers who are going to dairying.
All right. As far as the expense of going from a cropping farm into a dairy conversion and the time that takes?
Yeah, well, it takes a good year by the time you get your tracks in, your water systems. And I've heard something like $25,000 a hectare to convert a farm from cropping to dairy farm. It's a very big investment. The sheds themselves are probably $2 or $3 million. You've got to put tracks and lanes in that are proper for animals, and you've got to put a decent water system so the animals, they drink a lot of water. You've got to budget 100 litres a day for water for a dairy cow.
Wow. Also saw too in the news during the week, John, that the government is putting a bit of money in behind eradicating wilding pines.
Yeah, look, it's a great initiative. It's a real problem. And again, it's quite a local problem. Mackenzie Basin's got a big issue with wilding pines. They take over where natives potentially would grow. They're faster growing than natives, so they push them out effectively. So that means the habitat for our native animals isn't as available. And they're ugly to look at. They're a fire problem.
Yeah, they are a fire hazard, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of reasons to get rid of them. And of course, pastoral land, they're taking over pastoral land, which we can't graze. They suck the moisture out of the ground. Look, the right tree in the right place, we've always said it, and we're certainly not anti-trees at all, but they've got to be the right tree and they've got to be in the right place. And wilding pines aren't the right tree, and they're definitely in the wrong place.
Speaking of eradicating things, I know that South Canterbury farmers have been asking for more eradication of wallabies. They're still a major issue, aren't they? Yeah,
an absolute major issue. I've got a neighbour, he has got a very fancy thermal scout on his gun. He sat on top of a hill behind our place for 3-4 hours. He got 120 wallabies.
My goodness.
So the problem is quite significant. They're coming in over the top of the Hunter Hills from back in the Hacker and all over the place. and they are spreading. There is talk about, in fact, there is some investment going into a fence to keep them within the Waitaki River and the Waimate, is it, or the Rokai River, and they're talking about making sure they don't spread further because it's really a Canterbury problem again.
All right. Let's look at the government. It is election year after all, John. How are farmers feeling about particular outcomes that might come about this year?
Yeah, I think people are a little bit nervous. I guess your average farmer won't want a change in government. The national government seems to be a lot more farmer friendly, and I think we seem to feel like we're a wee bit more popular in the public than we were perhaps under a Labor Greens government, so that's encouraging. And yeah, we've seen a little bit more investment, and a lot more farmers are in seats. We've got a local MP, Miles Anderson. He's a local farmer, and he's representing us in the Waitaki Electric. So I think farmers are enjoying that. So there's a wee bit of nervousness about another Greens, Labor, Te Pā, the Maori Party coalition, and just what that potentially could look like for farmers. So yeah, farmers are in a pretty good place at the moment.
All right. I see there's an event coming up too. It's called Gumboots After Dark. Now, this is with Rural Women New Zealand Canterbury, and it's an elegant gala. It's in support of the Aoraki Foundation's Women's Fund. So that is on 6th of June, by the way, and starts at 6 p.m. It's on at the Landing Services building, and tickets are available through Humanitix. So if you want to get yourself along to that, Gumboots After Dark. Now, on the MC, and I do recall a couple of years ago you gave me a pair of gumboots for my birthday. Red bands.
We did indeed, yeah. That was my wife's doing, but we hope you made full use of them, OJ.
Well, I have, and I'm also going to make use of them on this night. I'm going to polish them up especially for Gumboots After Dark. So there we go.
Great to hear. Well
Yeah. Just on the rugby, finally, and the Crusaders and that new stadium. Have you been in it yet?
I have. I was there for opening weekend, and we went to 2 or 3 games over that weekend. Stunning. Really, really impressive. It's the right size, and it's in the right position, right downtown. We loved it. Easy access to food and drink. And I think a real telling factor is when people leave at the end, because they all arrive over a long period of time, but everyone leaves at once. Really good. Everyone emptied out really well. Great acoustics it seemed to be. And, of course, the Crusaders won. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, and won again at the weekend as well, under the roof. And I think they're playing, is it the Hurricanes?
That'll be a real test.
Yes, it will be too, yeah.
They're yet to lose under that roof at the moment, but the Hurricanes will certainly put them to the test.
Yeah, long may that continue. Have you followed any local rugby at all?
Well, my daughter's still playing for Lincoln University, so most weekends I'm going up and watching her, but I always have an ear out for how Waimate's going. They've been up and down a little bit. I see they had a good win against Old Boys on the weekend, but a very heavy loss against Harlequins the weekend before, so they'll be there or thereabouts, and it really only counts at the semi-finals, final stage anyway. So as long as they can get into that top 4, I'm sure they're in with a shout anyway.
Superb. That is our man on the land. That is John Gregan here on OJ in the Morning. Really appreciate your time. Have a great week.
No, it's great to be part of it, OJ, and once again, good luck for the new venture.
Thank you. Yes, it is South Canterbury's weekend magazine show. Getting yourself all primed for the weekend coming up. This is the Time Capsule. One of my throwbacks from my radio days, really. It was on this day, 29th day of May, 1620. You can do the maths. After earlier denouncing smoking as a health hazard, King James I banned the growing of tobacco in Britain. It was on this day, 1948, he was born Ian Pace, musician, drummer for Deep Purple. The reason I mention him on his birthday, the band formed in 1968, are still together in 2026. This is version Mark 9. They've got a new song out and all. Okay, it's not Smoke on the Water, but it's not bad for a bunch of old fellas. On this day, 1956, it was, so what's that, 70 years ago, American actress Marilyn Monroe married playwright Arthur Miller. It was a very unlikely combination, a bit like Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley. They married at the White Plains, New York, spent their honeymoon in London, and then divorced in 1961. Died this day, Jane Mansfield. back in 1967, the actress, she was 34. She was on the way to a nightclub appearance when her car smashed into the back of a lorry on a fog-shrouded highway near New Orleans in Louisiana. She was killed instantly, as was her lawyer, Sam Brody, and her driver, but the 3 children asleep in the back all lived. Jane wasn't decapitated, though. There was a lot of rumours around at the time that she lost her head, but that wasn't the case, apparently. It was her wig that flew out the car window on impact. 1976, turning 50 today, Brett McKenzie, Flight of the Conchords. Haven't heard too much from them for a while, have we? But they were brilliant back in the day. On this day in 1976, also 50 years ago, and Geraldine. It was on the 29th day of May in 1976, the Upton Cellars at Pleasant Valley Barker's Wines was burnt down 50 years ago. Thanks, Craig, for supplying me with that too. 1986, it was 40 years ago. Richard Branson's boat Virgin Atlantic Challenger 2 completed the fastest Atlantic crossing in just 3 days, 8 hours and 31 minutes. He was all the rage, wasn't he, back in the 80s, Richard Branson. 1999, Michael Jackson suffered severe bruising after falling over 50 feet when a bridge collapsed during a concert at Munich's Olympic Stadium. Jacko was singing Earth Song at the time of the accident and came crashing down to earth as a consequence. And it was on this day, 2022, the man who crashed his car, killing 5 teenagers near Timaru, had been jailed, or was jailed on this day. The public gallery was full ahead of the 19-year-old Tyrese Fleming's sentencing, with not a space in the courtroom. 15 family members addressed the court, including 6 parents, 2 siblings, and 3 grandparents of the 5 who tragically lost their lives. It was back in 2022. And finally, Colin Hay is having his birthday. Who's he, I hear you say? He's the lead singer of Men at Work. You know, who can it be now? Living in a land down under. He is turning 73. Happy birthday. And that is the Time Capsule. This is OJ in the morning, and we're at the council table. Last week, you might recall, we were chatting with Michelle Pye from the Timaru District Council. This week, we're catching up with the Mayor for the Waimate District, and that is Craig Rowley. Craig, wonderful to have you in the studio. Thank you for coming.
No, great to be here, OJ.
There is so much to talk about at the moment. A lot of it, of course, coming from central government. I know you've been quite outspoken in the media about your thoughts on that, but just to fill our audience in, where do you stand?
Well, obviously, we're all aware of the announcement that was made sort of about a month ago that said that we have 3 months to come up with a plan around the simplification and amalgamation of local councils. Quite frankly, the time frame's ludicrous. The last major amalgamation, the 89 amalgamation, took several years to get through to get a successful outcome, a reasonably successful outcome. To think that our local councils can do that in 3 months, as I said, it's just quite ludicrous. There's no way that we're going to be able to get it done in 3 months. I think what we'll end up with is basically what we've got now, where we've got several councils saying, listen, we're happy to talk together. We're happy to talk about this. And is there a better way of doing things? At the moment, we're in 2 minds. We're having trouble in our district seeing the benefit for our district in a wider, bigger amalgamation of whether it's 2 or 3 or, well, it's got to be 2, but whether it's 3 or 5 councils. So I guess that's the challenging perspective for us, is seeing the benefit, direct benefit for our ratepayers. Everything that we've looked at so far seems to put us off in a worse position. But listen, we're open to the conversation, happy to talk with our neighbours, happy to look at what a bigger unitary authority would look like, and we'll work through the process in good faith.
You went back to the public and you had a public meeting.
Yep.
What came out of that?
It was clear, like when we first started the meeting, it was quite clear that the general consensus was tell the government where to go, that we're quite happy down here, we do things well, and that sort of thing, that just leave us alone, let us get on with the job that we're doing already and doing well. When I started explaining to them, particularly around the backstop process, that if we don't join in this conversation with the rules that are in place, particularly around the the 50% population numbers, that if two councils got together, say Mackenzie and Timaru got together, they could dictate to us or dictate to our ratepayers what the model would look like, and we would have no say. So it was very much a case of we need to be round the table. We need to be not only just being a participant in this, but also, putting Waimate's best case forward and making sure that we're coming from a point of strength.
So you were around the table on Monday, I believe.
Yep.
How did that go?
Yeah, no, good meeting. It was interesting to see the groups that were there. We had DIA, we had Environment Canterbury, and a couple of planners from Environment Canterbury, and then all the mayors, the deputy mayors and the CEs from the relevant councils from Ashburton to Waitaki. It was a worthwhile meeting. It was a good meeting. But basically all that came out of that is that we're prepared to move forward and look at the options. It's difficult for the likes of Waitaki because they're torn between two regions. Obviously, they've got to the south the Dunedin-Otago model, to Ashburton to the north. They've got to have conversations. Excuse me. They've got to have conversations with their neighbours in Selwyn and what does a north-facing model look like. So all we've got at this stage is the three councils, Waimate, Mackenzie and Timaru, are saying, let's progress talks. Let's start doing some homework on what this is going to look like.
What are your biggest fears for Waimate moving forward if the government tends to, as it is at the moment, push these policies through?
I guess the biggest fear for us is that lack of representation. And we've seen it with Environment Canterbury, when we had the elections from Environment Canterbury. We had to fight long and hard to get two representatives within the South Canterbury region. And obviously, land-wise, South Canterbury is massive. So we get two voices around the table out of a quite a large number. So that's one of our biggest concerns, is how do we get heard as a small council? How do we dictate our future? How do we plan for growth? How do we continue to make Waimate the best little place to live in South Canterbury? So that's some of our concerns.
There is no doubt about that. The fact Waimate is a great place to live.
Yep.
Great district. But I guess it comes down to numbers, doesn't it? It really does come down to the numbers and the fact that the government now wants to have more councils amalgamated so that there's bigger representation on a general scale, and they say there's strength in numbers. Do you agree with that or not?
The big thing for me is, from what I've been hearing coming out of central government, is it's the minister and the government doesn't want to talk to 67 local authorities. It wants to talk to 12.
Right.
And that. So I've yet to see the evidence that shows that 12 larger unitary authorities is going to deliver services better, cheaper, and more efficiently. Everybody recognises that there has been issues with Environment Canterbury, and it seems to me that to solve the issues with Environment Canterbury, we're collateral damage. The councils, the other councils that are performing well around the country, and not all of them, there's some that need help, that's the thing. But I think you can't undergo a restructuring of regional councils without a complete restructure of local government. And the biggest question I have is, have we done any problem analysis? What is the issue with the 67 councils at the moment? They talk about duplication of rules and things like that. I thought that was what the RMA reform was supposed to do, supposed to set more national standards, supposed to cut down on 40% of consenting. When we asked them what the 40% of consenting is that they're going to remove, we can't get an answer. So how do you build an entity when it doesn't know what it's going to be responsible for? It's one of my biggest questions.
Still lots of dialogue to be had, lots of questions to be asked, and still more reform to come. Let's talk rates capping.
Yes, well, absolutely. You've got rates capping and how, which always gives me a little bit of a smirk because, one of the big things with this whole reform process is, as DIA and the government have said to us, is there's no funding available for it. So we're about to spend tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions across the country, doing a reform process while still maintaining a rates cap of between 2 and 4%. It's a bit oxymoronish to me.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. And we've seen recently the challenges that Waitaki are facing down there, and right across the country, everybody's on a tight strings with their budgets and things like that. How do we add in another several $100,000 in South Canterbury onto our ratepayers to go through this piece of work without any government support?
From reform, let's move to wallabies.
Yeah.
Because I was talking with John Gregan, our man on the land, and he was telling me some stories about some horrific numbers of wallabies out the back of Waimate in the Hunter Hills, for example. It is a real issue for you guys. For us all.
Yeah, it's a massive issue. It's not just for us guys, but for the country as a whole. It was really pleasing to see, I think, in the latest Environment Canterbury long-term plan budgets that they put in, I think it's an additional $2 million for wallaby control. And they are going to focus a bit on because currently they work on a containment policy where they're looking to contain the wallabies within a boundary, and all they're doing is stopping them spreading further rather than tackling the problem that exists within the main breeding herd, I suppose, or whatever you'd like to call it.
Yeah.
And that. But, they're a massive issue. I think it's about 2.5 wallaby to a sheep, equivalent grazing. The damage that they do environmentally is huge. So it'll be very interesting to see how this money's spent and what sort of impact it has.
Okay, a new partnership between the Waimate District Council and the Community Trust of Mid and South Canterbury. So more funds available for the local community.
Fantastic. Yeah, so Mid and South Canterbury Trust CE came and saw us and said they wanted to look at a different way of how they get funds out into the community. So they proposed to us that they would match us dollar for dollar up to $30,000. So currently we do $10,000 a year annually in community grants. So we've lifted that to 30. And I think that's fantastic because basically that's now going to give us $60,000 per annum that we're going to be able to put back into all sorts of initiatives within our district.
Yeah, good job. And South Canterbury farmers, sorry, I've already mentioned that one, haven't I? But let's not do the farmers. Cleaner heating choices by Waimate residents have paid off. New Environment Canterbury data confirming a steady long-term improvement in the town's air quality. You'll be pleased about that too.
Yes, very pleased about that. So this has been a big ongoing program between ourselves and Environment Canterbury. We identified the high polluting fire places within our district, within the airshed, and those have been removed. There was grants given to households to take out their old open fires and put in efficient log burners. So by removing, and I think from memory there was about 18 or 20 of those open fires within the airshed. They've gone. We've gone to cleaner log burners, gone to heat pumps, insulation throughout different homes, and it's showing great sort of
benefits.
Huge benefits to us. We haven't had an exceedance in 2025. I don't think we'll have an exceedance this year either. Of course, a lot of it is dependent on the weather. When you get those cold, frosty mornings when the fog hangs over town, it makes it more challenging. But we're not burning wet wood, and we're trying not to burn wet wood and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a win-win for the whole township.
Craig Rowley, Mayor for the Waimate District. Really appreciate you coming in.
No problem at all.
Yeah, no, it's great you've been so frank and open too about the issues that many of the councils are facing at the moment.
The voluntary process that isn't a voluntary process.
Yeah, right. There we go. That is Mayor Craig Rowley here at the council table on OJ in the morning. South Canterbury's weekend magazine show. OJ in the morning, local people, local stories, local connections. I did tell you at the beginning of the show, if you were listening back then, that we do have a chance to win something, because a good podcast should always give you a chance to win something. So we've got a wee promo going on, and it's with thanks to Cloudy Peaks Butchery, Adam and the crew there on Church Street. And we've got, yes, a $200 voucher to be won. If you want to find out more about how you could win it for you or a friend or whoever, then you can go to my Facebook page, OJ in the Morning, and all the details are there. Plus, there's also going to be a video. Now, it's not up just yet, but there will be a video that will be up that shows off all the wonderful meat that they have. So vegetarians, beware. Anyhow, your chance to win that, and we'll do a announcement at the end of the long weekend to let you know who the winner is, thanks to Cloudy Peaks Butchery with the world's best meat. You can check them out on Church Street. So that'll be up on my Facebook page sometime later on today. Would love you to take part. G'day, how you doing? It is OJ in the morning, and you can find me on Spotify and also on Apple as well. And, of course, all the interviews that we do on the show are on my YouTube channel, OJ in the morning. It is time to catch up once again with Kirsty. Kirsty with the Weekend Smile File. How you doing?
Oh, doing great. Fantastic week it's been as well, OJ. How's your week been?
It's been pretty busy.
Yeah.
Trying to stay on top of all this, to be fair. May I say, love the outfit.
Thank you very much. The watchers can't really see, but I've got blingy boots on and all sorts of things going on in my outfit today.
So you've been hanging around with people from Shortland Street. What's going on there?
Will Hall. Okay, so with the Aoraki Foundation, my day job, I'm the Gift and Community Advisor. We give out grants, a grant round once a year to many different charities around the place. Will is with Cure Kids, and they do lots of fantastic research to be able to cure some of these, illnesses in children. And there's just so many great organisations and great charities out there doing some very amazing work. So what we did was once a year we bring all of our recipients together. We have a round table event where they all get together. They get to tell us who they are, where they're from, what they're doing. And then we do a workshop on some questions to find out about where the local needs are in our community, what they see are the local needs, and also things like, how are we doing? Is our accountability easy for you? Is it harder? What about our application processes? Could they be easier? What are we doing that we could be helping you with? So, yeah, that's great.
Lots of good stuff.
It's a really good project and a really good meeting that we had. So that's what I was doing this morning, actually.
Very good. Now, we were talking last week on the Weekend Smile File about the pink ribbon breakfast, and you've got some information about what went down last week.
That's right. So there's still a few of these to come around the regions as well. The one I was involved in on Sunday was a morning tea. Rochelle Kennedy organised that, so you may know of her from Llama Cookie Drama, those delicious cookies that she has and bakes locally. So she did the morning tea. Her mum made most of it and it was delicious. Over 100 women came together at the tennis centre and raised over $6,000.
What?
I know, for breast cancer research. So well done.
Yeah, great effort.
Yeah, that was really fantastic. And I saw your good wife in the paper at one of the events as well.
I know, right? I was going through stuff online and I saw a picture and went, she looks familiar. Oh, that's right. That's my wife.
Haven't seen her for a few days, but there she is.
Busy down in the basement, podcasting. Anyway, what's going on the Weekend Smile File?
All right, so we do have a few things going on. The Beyond Connect Beyond Missions fundraising event is on this weekend. Now, that's a barbecue. It's a big old, like a garage sale almost. There's baking, books, stalls, all sorts of things going on. And that's from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. And I'm not... Oh, no, I do know where it is. It's at the Connect Centre on Rothwell Street in Redruth. So that's one of the things going on. Now, this one here, let's see if I can get through this without being juvenile and laughing about the name. The King's Birthday Steamer.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Anywho, I know, I'm so juvenile. The King's Birthday Steamer, that is the steam train at Pleasant Point Railway, and that's going to be on Sunday from 11 till 3. And look, I tell you what, the kids will love it. Get them out there. It's a whole day of it, and they can have rides, and it's just a whole lot of fun going on there for that.
Do they still have the old movie theatre?
I think they
with
do.
the cartoons.
In the shed part of it. So you
brilliant.
go down the track, you get on at the town, you go down the track, and then they have all that. Yeah, it's fantastic. If you haven't experienced it, this weekend could be your weekend to do so.
And if you take your own Jaffas, please don't throw them, because they can be dangerous. It's a health hazard.
And they stick in your hair.
Although tangy fruits are much better for that anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, now something else that's going on, Geraldine Classic Caravan Club. Now, they have at the Geraldine Top 10 Holiday Park, which I know that you've camped at over the years, OJ, they have a classic caravan weekend, I guess, and a lot of wonderful looking caravans and come from all over the place, and they park up there. And then on Sunday, they have a day for the public to go and have a look, and that's from, I think, 10 o'clock till 2 o'clock. And I believe that there is a certain remedy band that's playing that might feature your good self, OJ.
Yes, we are playing in the evening, so looking forward to that.
Oh, so you're on the Saturday evening?
No, on the Sunday evening, actually. So
Sunday
it's just
evening.
for the people who are part of the association.
Right.
So they've told me they're out for a great night out, and we are bound to provide it.
Oh, I'm sure you will provide it. But on the Sunday day, if you want to go out and have a look at those caravans, and I believe there'll be some classic cars as well, and some coffee and some stalls and some music, then head on out to the Geraldine Top 10 Holiday Park and you can check all that out. So just another thing I wanted to mention, and although I don't like saying that it's out of town, a lot of people will go to it, and that's the Steampunk New Zealand Festival with our neighbours down the road. And,
Is that on this weekend?
It's on this weekend.
Okay.
It's King's birthday this weekend, so we get Monday off, which is yay. But yes, the Steampunk is on this weekend. And another thing out of town, but I know a lot of local people are going to it, the Gore Golden Guitars. So good luck to anybody who's entering in that this weekend. I'm sure they will have an absolutely brilliant time. And actually, just one more. I know, I can't help myself. There's a gala coming up. It's the Gumboots After Dark. It's the centennial gala of the Aoraki South Canterbury Rural Women New Zealand. And this is going to be a good gala event. They're going to be raising some funds for the Aoraki Foundation Women's Fund, which, you know, they support women's causes throughout South Canterbury. And it's a great cause. Get amongst it, get your tickets. I believe you might be emceeing it, OJ.
I have got my gumboots, my red band gumboots, all right, polished up and ready to go.
Ah, fantastic. Of course you do. And well, that's about it for me for this week. Yeah. Long weekend, love that. Be safe on the roads, and we'll see you back here next week.
Kirsty, Burnett, it is the Weekend Smile File, and this is OJ in the morning. Local people, local stories, and local connections. Thanks for your support. And that is the end of the show, episode 2, 29th day of May. No matter how you've joined me, whether it be on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube, or whatever, thank you. Really appreciate it, and appreciate the messages of support too. Just a reminder, if you've got somebody that you think would be a suitable candidate for perhaps being interviewed on the show, I'm more than happy. Let me know. Or maybe you've got a community event coming up, fundraiser, you want to profile your community club, organisation, by all means, please send me an email. Best way to contact me is ojinthemorningshow@gmail.com. And you know, I'd love to hear from you. So that is episode 2. And just a reminder, enjoy the long King's birthday weekend coming up. And remember, it could be the best weekend of your life.